The biological stewardship of your kidneys is far more than a perfunctory health checkbox on a routine medical form or a secondary concern to be addressed on a rainy day. It represents a profound, non-negotiable covenant with the very survival of your entire physiological infrastructure. A sacred pact signed in the ink of your own DNA. To truly grasp the staggering gravity of this responsibility, one must transcend the simplistic, two-dimensional textbook view of these organs as mere plumbing components or secondary waste disposal units. Such a reductionist perspective is an insult to the billions of years of evolutionary refinement that crafted them. In truth, you must visualize your kidneys not as passive, bean-shaped filters tucked away in the anatomical shadows of the posterior abdominal cavity, but as the most sophisticated, high-precision biomolecular laboratories in existence. This twin-engine system serves as the grand architect of your internal environment, a biological masterpiece of fluid dynamics that balances the delicate scales of life and death every single second of your existence. They are the supreme regulators of the internal sea, the divine cartographers of your blood's chemical map. They work tirelessly to ensure that the salinity, volume, and pH of your vital fluids mirror the primordial oceans from which all life emerged. To ignore them is to invite a slow, systemic erosion of your very essence, a crumbling of the foundation upon which your consciousness resides. They are the silent, vigilant sentinels of your bloodstream, operating with a relentless, microscopic precision to maintain the chemical equilibrium known as homeostasis. Every single drop of blood in your body, the sacred crimson river of your life, circulates through these twin powerhouses hundreds of times a day. This results in nearly 200 quarts of fluid being processed every 24 hours, a feat of endurance and hydraulic engineering that no man-made machine, no matter how advanced, could ever hope to sustain. If your heart is the engine, your kidneys are the refined oil refinery and the cooling system combined. Within their labyrinthine corridors, a complex alchemical process unfolds. It is a miraculous sorting mechanism that distinguishes between life-sustaining nutrients and electrolytes, the essential building blocks of your energy, and the lethal, acidic debris of metabolic existence. They perform a purification process so intricate and flawless that it borders on the supernatural. To protect them is to protect the source code of your vitality. To neglect them is to allow the very foundation of your biological house to slowly collapse into the dark sea of systemic failure. The haunting tragedy of renal health lies in its absolute, stoic silence. The kidneys are the ultimate martyrs of the human body, suffering the slings and arrows of modern lifestyle choices without a whisper of protest. Unlike a racing heart that thumps violently against your ribs to signal acute stress, or a gasping lung that triggers immediate, panicky distress when oxygen levels dip, the kidneys do not scream for attention when they are under siege. They are the Stoics of your anatomy. They possess no early warning alarm system that the conscious mind can easily detect. They are programmed for endurance, not for complaint. They suffer in quiet dignity, absorbing the relentless damage caused by surging high blood pressure, environmental toxins, and systemic inflammation without a single outward sign until it is often catastrophically late. By the time clinical symptoms such as chronic, bone-deep fatigue, peripheral edema, the swelling of limbs, or drastic, ominous changes in urinary output actually manifest, the damage is often widespread, irreversible, and permanent. Once these intricate biological filters begin to fail, the fallout is never localized. It triggers a terrifying, systemic domino effect that dismantles your body's structural integrity from the inside out. Your cardiovascular system begins to falter under the crushing, invisible weight of fluid overload, forcing the heart to labor against an ever-rising ocean of retained salt and water. Your skeletal structure, once the sturdy, calcified frame of your being, becomes porous and brittle as mineral metabolism collapses into chaos. In a desperate bid for survival, the body begins leaching calcium from your very bones to buffer the rising acidity of your blood, a tragic process of self-cannibalization. Your hormonal balance descends into a state of chemical anarchy, and your blood pressure embarks on a lethal, uncontrollable dance that ravages the walls of your entire arterial tree. The most sobering reality, one that must dictate every lifestyle choice you make from this moment forward, is that renal damage is almost entirely irreversible. Unlike the liver, which possesses a miraculous, almost Promethean capacity for regeneration and self-healing, the kidneys are composed of a finite number of highly specialized units called nephrons. Think of these as the biological engines of your filtration system. We are born with a specific allotment, roughly 1 million per kidney. Once these engines lose their functional capacity due to scarring, fibrosis, chemical toxicity, or cellular death, restoring them to their pristine, original state is a medical mission that currently remains far beyond the reach of modern science. In the high-stakes world of nephrology, we do not truly fix kidneys in the way a surgeon sets a broken bone. We merely manage their slow, agonizing decline through pharmaceutical intervention. Therefore, instead of waiting for a symptomatic crisis, a point of no return where the dark shadow of dialysis looms, you must embark on a comprehensive kidney shield roadmap today. This is not a mere diet or a temporary health fad. It is a strategic defense system designed to preserve your vital essence for decades to come. 1. Medication. Unmasking the silent assassins in your cabinet. One of the most perilous misconceptions of modern civilization is the casual, almost reckless normalization of over-the-counter OTC drugs. We have been conditioned by decades of aggressive pharmaceutical marketing to treat potent, life-altering chemical compounds as if they were harmless candies. Yet, clinical data provides a staggering wake-up call. Between 19% and 26% of all recorded cases of acute kidney injury (AKI) in hospital settings are the direct, measurable consequence of drug-induced toxicity. The NSAID threat, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, are the primary culprits hiding in plain sight. Millions of people routinely reach for ibuprofen, naproxen, or high-dose aspirin to silence a minor headache or dull joint pain without a second thought. These drugs operate by inhibiting prostaglandins, the vital chemical messengers that signal blood vessels to dilate and maintain adequate blood flow to the renal tissue. By shutting off these signals, you effectively throttle the blood supply to your kidneys, creating a state of self-induced ischemia. You are essentially starving the millions of microscopic filtering units of life-giving oxygen. In this state of induced famine, they wither and die in total silence, leaving behind non-functional scar tissue that can never be reclaimed. The PPI trap. For those battling chronic acid reflux, proton pump inhibitors, PPIs, have become a daily, lifelong ritual. However, a deep dive analysis of FDA data reveals a chilling correlation. 7 out of the 10 most kidney-toxic medications on the market belong to the PPI class. Do not allow the temporary relief of a burning chest to become a permanent death sentence for your renal system. Antibiotic toxicity. While life-saving, certain potent antibiotics can become nephrotoxic if mismanaged, taken for too long, or used without adequate hydration. Statistics indicate that for every 10 individuals on a continuous, high-dose course of specific aminoglycosides, 1 to 2 will experience a measurable decline in renal function. Always treat these molecular hammers with extreme caution. The concept of cellular burnout. Remember, the kidney is not a simple mechanical pump. It is a sprawling, complex city of microscopic tubes. They do not regenerate. When a segment of this population is destroyed by medication, the survivors are forced to work double shifts to compensate. This leads to hyperfiltration, a state of cellular burnout where the remaining nephrons are overworked to the point of exhaustion. 2. Nutrition. The alchemical key from your kitchen. Your daily diet is not merely a source of fuel or a pursuit of sensory pleasure. It is the raw pharmacological material your kidneys use to balance the body's internal chemistry. To eat is to perform chemistry on yourself. Every meal is either a brick in your fortress or a crack in your foundation. The majesty of potassium, often overshadowed by more famous minerals, potassium is the unsung hero of vascular health. It acts as a natural vasodilator, promoting the production of nitric oxide, a molecule that coaxes arterial walls to relax and expand, lowering the hydraulic pressure on the kidney's delicate filters. Furthermore, potassium is the biological broom that assists the body in flushing out toxic levels of excess sodium. The Golden Harvest. Curate your plate with vibrant, nutrient-dense greens, spinach, kale, earthbound root vegetables, sweet potatoes, beets, and tropical powerhouse fruits, avocado, mango, papaya, and kiwi. These are the bioavailable building blocks of renal resilience. The crucial caveat: potassium is a hero only while the gates are open. If you have already been diagnosed with advanced CKD, you must follow a restricted renal diet. The war on sodium. If you want your kidneys to breathe, you must aggressively cap your sodium intake. The danger rarely comes from the salt shaker on your dining table. The vast majority of toxic sodium is engineered into ultra-processed foods. Canned soups, instant noodles, cured meats, and fast food staples. Returning to whole, home-cooked meals seasoned with fresh herbs, garlic, and citrus is an act of biological liberation. 3. Movement, the resurrection pill that costs nothing. Physical activity is often marketed for aesthetic weight loss or muscular vanity, but for the kidneys, exercise is about fluid dynamics and waste clearance. You do not need to endure grueling hours of heavy lifting. The secret lies in rhythmic, aerobic endurance. The science of vascular flow, 30 minutes of moderate aerobic activity, brisk walking, cycling, or swimming, can measurably lower creatinine levels. The sedentary crisis. For the modern professional, sitting is the new smoking for renal health. Remaining sedentary for more than 2 hours at a time causes physical compression of the abdominal cavity and leads to the stagnation of blood flow. This stagnation allows toxins to linger longer in the renal pelvis, causing micro-insults to the tissue through prolonged exposure to metabolic waste. The micromassage strategy. Every 60 to 90 minutes, you must break the spell of the chair. Stand up, perform a deep stretch, or walk for a glass of water. These small, consistent movements act as a micromassage for your internal organs, keeping the delicate renal blood vessels elastic, responsive, and clear of debris. It ensures that the river of life never becomes a stagnant pond. Final thoughts. The marathon of preservation. Protecting your kidneys is not a frantic, panic sprint triggered by a bad lab result. It is a lifelong marathon of conscious, incremental choices. It is the art of being a proactive guardian rather than a reactive patient. It is about recognizing that your physical body is the only vessel you are given to navigate this life, and its maintenance is your highest earthly calling. It is the quiet discipline of choosing a creamy, potassium-rich avocado over a bag of processed, sodium-laden chips. It is the wisdom of reaching for a glass of structured, pure water instead of a chemical painkiller for a dull ache. It is the commitment to a 30-minute evening stroll under the stars to keep your internal filters flowing and your blood pressure stabilized. Always hold the ancient medical adage close to your heart. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. In the case of the kidneys, this is a literal biological truth. Once the filters crack and the nephrons perish, the price of repair, be it dialysis or transplantation, is higher than most can afford, both financially, physically, and emotionally. A healthy, high-functioning pair of kidneys is the bedrock of a life defined by boundless energy, mental clarity, and long-term vitality. Thank you for choosing to invest in your biological future today. May these insights empower you to not just survive the modern world, but to truly thrive within it. We look forward to seeing your transformation in our next health update.